What's up, Bills Mafia? Welcome back to Bills with BK. I didn't do an episode last week because I really didn't want to waste everybody's time with a recap involving Mitch Trubisky and Mike White. We rested all of our starters. No offense to those guys, but this is a Josh Allen show, let's be honest. But super pumped off of this wild card win against the Broncos last week. I'm not going to lie, coming into this game, when the spread was -9, I didn't love that spread because I really wasn't counting out the Broncos like that. I think they put up a pretty good season. They had the second best defense in the league. Bo Nix is also no scrub, had a ridiculous rookie season as a quarterback. You know, the guy has some scrambling ability, really not a bad player. But not only did we beat the Broncos in the wild card matchup, but we absolutely dismantled them. They scored one touchdown on the first drive, and then never again did they score for the entire game. It was fucking awesome. Could not be more psyched about how that game went. The two biggest highlights from this game that I want to talk about real quickly is number one, that Ty Johnson touchdown catch, where Ty Johnson managed to get his hands under this ball to pull it in. And not only that, but the way that he manages to lift his foot up while catching it to make sure that he didn't go out of bounds was an unbelievable display of athleticism. And I really think that Ty Johnson has earned his keep on the Buffalo Bills, and I really hope we hold on to this guy in the offseason. I want him to be a priority in the offseason to hold on to because he has time and time again proven to be a very clutch player for us, and this just solidified it for us. So big props to Ty Johnson for that touchdown. Also for Josh Allen to just manage to extend the play like this. The way that Josh Allen was scrambling to the right, couldn't find anything, and then put the ball at the only place where Ty Johnson and only Ty Johnson could catch it. So I give Josh Allen props for this, but even more so Ty Johnson. Well done. The other highlight that I want to talk about is the 55-yard touchdown by Curtis Samuel. The way that he made a ridiculous cutback on none other than Patrick Surtain, who's been a lockdown corner all year, probably one of the best corners in the league, if not the best, at least in the top 2 or top 3. You know, he's up there with Sauce Gardner and other lockdown corners. And Curtis Samuel manages to make this cutback on him and take it all the way to the house. That was awesome because I feel like a lot of us were feeling like we weren't really getting our money's worth from Curtis Samuel for what we were paying him. A lot of the first half of this season, you know, he wasn't really doing a lot for us. But he's kind of in the last 5 weeks or so been quietly becoming a more relevant player in our offense. And I love to see that. I think we're going to keep it rolling this Sunday when we play the Ravens. I think we're going to keep getting him involved. We always knew what he was capable of in this offense and how he could be that deep threat for us. So it's great to see that finally paying off. And now seeing the teams have to pay attention to him a little more, it just opens things up for everybody in this offense. So you love to see that. The thing I want to point out real fast before I get into the Ravens game coming up this Sunday is check out this Von Miller spin move that we got. Even though Von Miller might not have gotten the sack on this play, it was just awesome to see Von Miller bring back one of his vintage spin moves because I haven't seen him do that in a while. And it makes me think that Von Miller is back. It makes me think that Von Miller is back to that form that we knew he could be when he came back from this injury. And now it's the playoffs when we need him most. I think that Von Miller is going to have a really good game this Sunday. I think throughout the playoffs, he is going to keep displaying his old self again and get crucial sacks for us and just be the guy that we needed him to be. Because when we signed him originally, we needed Von Miller to be a disruptor. And he's been a disruptor these last few weeks. He's really been coming back to form, looking like a vintage Von Miller. Even though he's, getting up there in age, he's still got it and he can still play. Now, there are a couple factors that I want to point out that make me feel really good about this game coming up against the Ravens in this divisional matchup. And before I get into them, I just want to remind everybody who hasn't already, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for me. I appreciate your guys' support. I can't do this without you, so go ahead, hit that subscribe button for me. But let's get into it. These are the things that I'm feeling really good about with this upcoming game against the Ravens. And number one is the weather element. Now, week 4 when the Ravens beat us, it was in Maryland and it was mid-60s, which really isn't cold. But if you look at how Lamar Jackson was dressed on the sideline, look at this guy. Does this look like a man built for the cold to you? I mean, this is mid-60s and the guy's bundled up like it's winter time in the 20s, and if you look at Lamar's history, he's from Florida, okay? He went to school in Kentucky. These are not cold places. Now, sure, Baltimore gets cold, don't get me wrong. But Baltimore doesn't get cold like Western New York does. And right now the forecast for this game is 8 degrees. Here's a couple of fun facts about Lamar Jackson's history in playing in the cold. The coldest game that Lamar Jackson has played in is 27 degrees, okay? And the coldest game that Derrick Henry has played in is 22 degrees. So Lamar has played 2 NFL games in sub-freezing temperatures, and in college, Lamar Jackson only played in 2 outdoor games in cold weather cities during November and none in December. One of these games was in Boston and one of these games was in Pittsburgh, and they were both over 52 degrees. Now, look at Josh Allen, nicknamed the Winter Soldier, played in Wyoming, played in plenty of snow games in Wyoming, and perhaps one of the best games of his NFL career was also one of the coldest games of his career, where he went 21 for 25 for 308 yards and 5 touchdowns against the New England Patriots in 2022. And the wind chill made it feel like -4 degrees. Okay, and we all saw how Allen played earlier this year against the 49ers in that cold snow game, right? He balled out. Absolutely ridiculous game for Josh Allen. Had the rushing touchdown and the receiving touchdown. Broke a record with that stat. We know how Josh Allen plays in the cold, all right? He doesn't fuck around. So I think that the weather could be a really big factor for us. When it's really cold like that, it affects the way that they might want to avoid getting hit, and it also affects the grip of the ball. So these are some factors that could play in our favor this Sunday. Now, number 2, and this is probably the biggest thing for me. When the Ravens destroyed us earlier this season, we were without a bunch of key defensive players. We had no Matt Milano, we had no Terrell Bernard, and we didn't have Taron Johnson. And these 3 guys are arguably our biggest anchors on our defense, right? So we were without these 3 guys that obviously impacted us greatly. Derrick Henry had a field day. He ran over us. But not only that, but these guys are really good against the run. These are guys that really stand out with stopping the run, especially Matt Milano, who just has that instinct and that quickness and ability to read and react to plays fast. I think he's going to be a really big part in shutting down Derrick Henry this Sunday. Obviously, Taron Johnson being one of the best nickelback corners in the league. And then Terrell Bernard, who's just an absolute ball hawk as well. Now, on top of that, Shakir got hobbled in the first 20 minutes of the game against the Ravens in Week 4. So we were pretty much without a healthy Shakir for the majority of the game when we played the Ravens in Week 4. And it was also before we got Amari Cooper. So there's going to be a lot more elements to our offense this Sunday than there was when we played against the Ravens earlier in the season. Things are just going to open up more for us on offense. I can just feel it with having Amari Cooper in the mix and Shakir playing 100%. And lastly, just being home field advantage for us is going to be huge. We're 9-0 at home, including the playoffs. So you know that on offense for the Ravens, Bills Mafia is going to make it really tough on Lamar Jackson. It's going to be really loud in that stadium. Bills Mafia is going to bring that energy. So just having this being a home field advantage for us is going to be huge. I know that Bills Mafia is going to make a huge impact on this game. The energy that they're going to bring in that stadium is just going to be unmatched, and it's going to make it really tough for Lamar Jackson when he's on offense.